Good morning, my dear students. Today we'll study the ninth chapter of history of class 7th Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, and later Mughals. In the previous videos, we discussed about Akbar, and Jahangir is the fourth ruler of Greater Mughals. So we'll start with Jahangir in this portion of our video, and we'll also discuss about Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb and causes for the decline of Mughals. Let's continue with the summary of the topic. Jahangir. Akbar was succeeded by his eldest son, Prince Salim, who assumed the title Nuruddin Jahangir. Nuruddin Jahangir means conqueror of the world. He inherited one of the largest and most prosperous kingdom of the medieval period. The empire was very strong, so Jahangir did not have to face any crisis except the rebellion by his eldest son, Khusro. So his eldest son was Khusro, and later his son Khurram became the ruler. He was later called as Shah Jahan. Conquest and campaign. Jahangir strengthened Mughal control over Bengal and conquered Kangra and Awadh. In 1613, he sent an expedition against Rana Amar Singh of Mewar, the son of Rana Pratap, who had refused to accept Mughal suzerainty. Jahangir also sent several expeditions to conquer the state of Ahmadnagar and to enforce his authority in Deccan. Later, Prince Khurram conquered Ahmadnagar. This Prince Khurram is Shah Jahan. Next important topic which we have to discuss, when we discuss about Jahangir, the name comes, it's a very important name which we have to study about, is Nur Jahan. Jahangir married Nur Jahan in 1611. Her original name was Mehru Nizam. Jahangir made her his chief queen and gave her the title of Nur Jahan, meaning light of the world. She was promoted to the status of Padshah Begum. She was promoted as a Padshah Begum. During the last 16 years of Jahangir's life, the entire administration was in her hand. She retired from court life after the death of Jahangir in 1627. Administration. Jahangir followed the system of administration introduced by Akbar. He also introduced some reforms like abolition of transit and custom duties and banned the use of wine and tobacco. He continued his father's policy of matrimonial alliance with Rajputs. Jahangir is famous in history for his love for justice. He constructed a long golden chain with belt which was tied to the wall of the palace. Anyone unjustly treated by the government officials could pull the chain and make his complaint. Jahangir used to listen to the complaint and solve the problem. That is a very important point about Jahangir. He was considered as a person who loved justice. For that, he also hanged a bell which could be pulled by anyone at any time for justice. Art and architecture. Jahangir was a patron of learning and art such as poetry, architecture, music, painting, etc. He was a scholar of sociology, botany, and medicine. He made his memoirs called Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri was written in Persian and a valuable source of information about him and his reign. Miniature painting became popular during his time. Jahangir completed Akbar's tomb at Sikandra. So Akbar's tomb is at Sikandra and it was completed by Jahangir. Now Jahangir's relation with the Europeans. It was during Akbar's rule that the Portuguese had established trade center in India. During the reign of Jahangir, the British made their first attempt to obtain trade rights in India. Two Englishmen, John Hawkins and Sir Thomas Roy, came to India as ambassadors of King James I of England. Sir Thomas Roy persuaded Jahangir to give trade concessions to British traders and also got the permission to set up a factory at Surat. In the first part of this chapter, we have discussed about Jahangir, and in this part, we'll discuss about Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Shah Jahan, his original name is Shihabuddin Muhammad Khurram. We usually call him as Khurram, and this name means joyful. This name was given to him by his grandfather Akbar. He was also known as an engineer king because he built so many buildings. He is famous because of the buildings built by him, like Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Jama Masjid, etc. Now let's study about him. Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan succeeded the Mughal throne in 1628 and ruled till 1657. He faced tough resistance from his brothers and from Bundelkhand and from the Deccan region. During the reign of Shah Jahan, the Portuguese who had set up a factory at Hooghly in Bengal began to create problems. They started piracy in Bay of Bengal, extracted heavy duty from Indian traders and indulged in slave trade. Shah Jahan defeated the Portuguese and seized Hooghly. Shah Jahan's contribution to art and architecture. This is the most important part of our chapter. Shah Jahan's reign has been described as the golden period of art and architecture, and he was also called as an engineer ruler. The most impressive of the buildings constructed by him is Taj Mahal at Agra. It's a mausoleum of his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. Now, what is this mausoleum? Mausoleum is the place where the dead bodies are buried, like a tomb. It is a tomb of his wife. So, after her death, he built a tomb for her, and where we can see the mausoleum of Shah Jahan and his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The two famous mosques built by him, Moti Masjid at Agra and Jama Masjid in Delhi. He shifted his capital from Agra to Shah Jahanabad after the death of his wife. Very important, he shifted his capital from Agra to Shah Jahanabad. He built Red Fort, Diwani Am, Diwani Khas, Rang Mahal and the famous Peacock Throne. Now, what is this Diwani Am and Khas? The place where he met the public is called Diwani Am, and the hall, a ceremonial hall for his private audience or for his officials, we call it as Diwani Khas. In 1739, the Peacock Throne was and the famous Kohinoor diamond were carried away by Nadir Shah, a Persian invader. Shah Jahan himself was a great scholar who could converse in Persian, Turkish and Hindi. He knew 3 languages, Persian, Turkish and Hindi. During his reign, fine arts like music, dance, painting, etc. made great progress, and for encouraging the artists, he gave them liberal grants and aid. So this is what we have to study about Shah Jahan, the main buildings built by him, and some like Taj Mahal, Red Fort, etc. can be asked as a picture study. And then along with that, what are the important things which he have done during that time, and about the Peacock Throne. And now let's see some images of the buildings built by him, Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Jama Masjid, Moti Masjid, etc. which is built by him. Now we'll move to the next part, that is Aurangzeb. The last years of Shah Jahan's reign was marked by a bitter war of succession among his 4 sons. And these 4 sons were constantly at fight with each other for getting the power. Their names are Dara, Murad, Aurangzeb and Shuja. These prince used to fight for getting power. Finally, Aurangzeb succeeded. He became victorious. He defeated his brothers, and after imprisoning his father Shah Jahan in Agra fort, he became the ruler. He took the title Alamgir, or the conqueror of the world, and he became the ruler. In the War of Succession, his third son became victorious and he became the ruler in 1658. The Shah Jahan's third son Aurangzeb became the ruler. And the title taken by him is Alamgir, which means conqueror of the world. He ruled for about 50 years till 1707. Extent of his empire. Mughal Empire became the largest state India had ever seen. It became the largest state. That means most of the places was under their control. By the end of 17th century, it extended from Kashmir in the north to Jinji in the south, and from Hindu Kush in the west to Chittagong in the east. Aurangzeb's long reign is divided into two parts. First part is from 1658 to 1680, and the second part is from 1681 to 1707. In the first part, he remained in North India and crushed the revolts. And in the second half, he lived in Deccan region, spending most of his time in crushing the powers of Marathas. So, his reign, that 50 years, can be divided into two parts. Revolts in North India. The first to rise in revolt against the Mughal government was the Jats of Agra, Delhi region in 1669. The Bundelas, under the leadership of Champat Rai and Chatarsal, rose in Bundelkhand. In the northeast frontier, the Ahom rulers of Assam challenged the Mughal authority by expelling the Mughal from Guwahati. Like that, during the time of Aurangzeb, because of his some measures which were taken by him against the peasants, results in such type of revolts. The first was with Jats, then Bundelas, then with Assam. The conflict between Aurangzeb and Sikh, it is considered as one of the important incidents which happened during the time of Aurangzeb. When Aurangzeb started the policy of religious intolerance, the 9th Sikh Guru, Guru Tej Bahadur, protested against him. Aurangzeb arrested and beheaded him. Beheaded him means he cut his head and killed him. This provoked the people of Punjab. After the death of Guru Tej Bahadur, his son Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Sikh Guru, turned the Sikh into a martial race called Khalsa. So it's very important. The 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, he turned Sikhs into a martial group called Khalsa. All the members of the Khalsa was baptized with water stirred with a dagger. After that, they were known as Singh or the Lion. Rajput policy of Aurangzeb. During the early years of his reign, Aurangzeb gave great value to his alliance with Rajputs. He tried to secure the active support of Rajputs and gave them high mansabs. Later, Aurangzeb came in conflict with Mewar and Marwar, the two major kingdoms of Rajasthan. The war was fought to acknowledge Jaswant Singh's posthumous son, Ajit Singh. What is posthumous? Posthumous means a son born after the death of his father. Means when his mother was pregnant, his father died and he was born after his father's death. So Jaswant Singh, Ajit Singh, was born after his father's death. As his successor, and war continued till 1698, and Ajit Singh was recognized as the ruler of Mewar. Means it was a fearless fight between the Rajputs and Aurangzeb. It was for confirming or giving the power to Ajit Singh or accepting him as their ruler, because he was born as a posthumous son. So Aurangzeb denied his authority, or he was not allowed to become his father's successor. So the war continued till Ajit Singh acquired, or he was recognized as the ruler of Marwar. Next one is Deccan policy of Aurangzeb. Marathas became a great force in the Deccan under the leadership of Shivaji. Aurangzeb spent his last 26 years in Deccan, and he annexed Bijapur in 1685 and Golconda in 1687. The Marathas mastered the tactics of guerrilla warfare and defeated the local rulers and the Mughals. The continuous war depleted the royal treasury and led to the loss of number of soldiers. Aurangzeb's long absence in North India led to the rise of rebellion in North. So Deccan policy was, when we study about Deccan policy, about 26 years he lived there, and Marathas fought with him, defeated him. They used new techniques like guerrilla warfare. First they defeated their local rulers and then they succeeded. Religious policy of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was orthodox and God-fearing. He was the last of great Mughals. We can say that he was the sixth of great Mughals, or the last one. He took the title of Alamgir, which means conqueror of the world. He ruled for about 49 years and he was considered as an orthodox and God-fearing person. And many places, in many books, we can read that he is a religiously fanatic person who was not tolerant towards other religion. When we study in detail about Aurangzeb, we can see that he was a simple person and he was popularly called as Zinda Pir, or a living saint, due to his simple lifestyle. He never wore costly robes like the former Mughal emperors and used gold and silver vessels like them. He never used any such type of costly things. He earned money by sewing caps and copying Holy Quran, which were sold in the market. He was known for his religious piety and he even memorized the entire Quran. Now let's move to the next part, that is the disintegration of Mughal Empire. This is the last part of our part 1 video. And in this part we can see that what are the causes for the disintegration of Mughal Empire. The main reasons are due to the drain of resources. In suppressing rebellions, the Mughal Empire weakened to a great extent. Agricultural produce from the peasants was generally taken away to be used in battle. People suffered and this led to discontentment. So, during that time, most of the resources were used for crushing the rebellions, and the peasants and the people of lower strata suffered a lot. Apart from these factors, the invasion of the Afghans from the northwest, the regional kingdoms became powerful with the passage of time, and the British gradually expanded their territories in India. So these are the main 3 reasons that led to the disintegration of Mughal Empire. They are, once again I'll explain. First one is the invasion of Afghans. Second one, the regional kingdoms became powerful again. And the last one is the British gradually expanded their territories. So these are the main reasons for the disintegration of Mughal Empire. Now in the next part of our video, we will study about Shivaji, about Sikh and other later Mughals. So here we wind up our first part. Before finishing the class, I'll give you some fill-up questions which you can write and learn in your copy.